Alright guys, I'm into making videos today, so I'm gonna make this video to show kind of how I do 3D grass blending. Um, it's probably going to be pretty hodgepodge, broken up, because I don't think I'm super good at it, or at least efficient at it. It takes me quite a long time to get it honed in, but once I get it, it definitely makes a huge difference. So we'll start out going through. This is my Spencer course. This is kind of my finished product. This is, I would say, this is probably my best 3D grass that I've been able to get created. So this one's called the New Rough here. And then, so kind of how I start. Most of these settings are from, I think John Mayer started these. And then I know I got my latest one from Justin. So both of those guys have kind of paved the way for how I do it now. I used to, so just starting off here, this is my rough. I used to be one of these where I would have all these unchecked, and I did the smooth alpha on there. In my opinion, for whatever reason, it didn't have quite the look that I wanted. I'm not sure which one of these other little settings makes it look the way it does now. But if I was to I guess give a recommendation, these are what your settings that you're going to want right here. Definitely need the default PBR. That's to allow our new lighting engine. So as you change the time of day, the default BBR and the hybrid, that will change the hue of the 3D grass as well. Because right now the environment lighting that we use will change the sky. It'll kind of turn a little like an amber color the later in the day that it gets. While what we were having is the ground and even the ground floor texture will darken as well. All of that was darkening, but your 3DG was staying, perfectly lit, so it just didn't look good. But we got to do default PBR and hybrid. Yeah, I do always value-based density. I know there's some of them that have texture-based, as long as they have I think you got to have a displacement texture down here. That will follow that. I don't know anything about that, but maybe one of the other guys can give a video or something on how that works. These are the density settings that I have went with. A lot of it depends on just obviously it's all around system performance, but a lot depends on what else you got going in the course. If you don't have much else going in the course, you can push this 3DG kind of to the max, and it will look superb doing that. But it comes at a huge FPS hit. So if you're already struggling with performance, you don't want to be pushing. Mainly it's like this number here, this 50. I ran a little test where I had it at 75, which pushes out the 3DG into a lot bigger radius. And it cost me about, I think it was 10 or 13 FPS. Just going from 75 down to 50, it boosted me. So and really at the end of the day, when you get it into GSPro, the 50, it's more than enough. You don't really need to push it too much farther. This terrain size, I have it at 2000. It doesn't really matter if you're not doing a satellite image. This course is not satellite, so I'm using just texture and everything. So I don't really need to worry about the terrain size too much. I used to do my disorder at 2. I know Justin had his at 1.5, so I've been doing 1.5. Just kind of, they're close. You probably don't really need to. You can just play around with that. So this color texture, if I was doing a satellite, I would always put an image in there. But Justin had a color texture in there, and I think this is just it's diffuse, and it just adds that little patchiness to, you can kind of see these dark spots around here. That's what it's doing. That's coming from that texture. And I haven't played around with too many other ones. I think I'm going to, where we can create some different little texture diffuse to use. And I think that it's going to end up making a really cool look, when you're down at the ball level. You can kind of see it has these little brown spots. That looks super natural, or really natural, not supernatural. But yeah, you can kind of see here these little dark spots. They just add some randomness, so it's not all, you're not all uniform, I guess. And I think there's even, you can get some patching where these brown spots can actually be bare, so the 3DG won't grow there. So like, if you have areas around the greens, a lot of times, trampled areas, the grass won't grow very well right there. So we would be able to probably add some of those spots in here using this color texture. So that's something new that I've done. You can change the tiling of it, as I change it. It changes the amount of the dark spots and brown spots, and 25 is just some number. It can be whatever you want. But the main thing I wanted to show is these secondary and your main color and your secondary color. This is what makes it believable. So say I have it, you come in here. I find this a lot on courses that I'm testing. They come in here and like their 3D grass just looks one big blob, or they'll have it, up here, or they'll try to match it. You try to match it, but yet all the blades will be the exact same color. That like kind of like this. That it's just it doesn't look natural. There's no depth to the color. Where you back it up here, if you look out towards the spats, like, so this is another thing in Unity. I found where there's a little bit of difference between Unity and when you get it built in game. It seems in Unity, maybe John will know, or one of the other experts will know. It seems where I find the best results when I kind of get close to where the camera is in the game. If I look out to here, then I see like little black spots. You'll see some little black spots. In game in GSPro, you will not see those. Those are all hidden by the texture. So, but when I get to that point, that's when I know I nailed it. So if I'm like out here, where maybe those, if I'm too dark, then those little black spots, yeah, they're there, but they're also everywhere. Like it's all just a uniform, So I just kind of scroll up with and I always put my lighter color in the color, and then the secondary color is my darker one, because you kind of want two variations of your grass, because that will create the depth of the blade. And you get super close in here, you can see I have two different colors of blades there. But from up here, it looks pretty natural, but yet it's still giving an overall depth to the 3D grass. So as far as finding the right colors, I mean, it's just trial and error. Like I could probably get almost this identical look 20 different ways. It's just depending on what hue of this grass color that you end up getting. And the whole idea is you're trying to get it close to matching this ground floor. And even that, just switching that, you can kind of see it was kind of yellowish. You switch it over here, now it's it looks more of a greenish. That actually might even be better than what I had. So that's kind of what you're going for in creating your different, your different hues of green. So yeah, that actually looks really good there too. So you could tinker with this for, forever. But if you're starting with here, you know, basically you can tell that, oh, it's too light. You know, it's not right. So you just kind of just move these little things around until, oh, now it's too uniform. See how that's like, it's just kind of muddy. It's like it's all the same color. You just got to keep bringing that down until, oh, now we're starting to get some depth. Now you see some of the darkened spot. You want to go a little darker. You know, you can go too dark. Now you get down in here, all of a sudden now I have black blades. You don't want those. And you have the little specks, those little black specks that are all up to here. Those look okay up there, but you're also seeing them, you know, up front, closer to the camera. That means you're too dark. You need to get rid of those so the black specks are just up here, you know, 50 yards, 40 yards down the path. So even here, come out, come in. So like when you're up here, you see how the ground is the floor is kind of brighter. I've actually found, you know, that's not quite how it looks in GSPro. So you want your 3D grass to be just a little bit dark when you zoom in. So now in here, your 3D grass is a little darker than the floor. Once you get it in game, you're going to be perfect. So that's kind of the thing, and maybe it's my Unity settings or something that's not 100% perfect to GSPro. I've just done enough 3D grass where I know what I'm looking for to match it. So once it goes in GSPro, it's going to be a dead match. And I've noticed these about 50 yards out, those little specks. You want to see those out there. You do not want to see them up close. Nope. So yeah, like I said, you can do all these changes. This little guy, he when you turn him like that, turns it from more of a yellowish. You know, if your floor is yellow, has a little yellow tint, you can just move it up here, and I mean, it's still green. It still shows you that it's green, but it just adds a little bit of yellow tint to it to get it to look good. And then yeah, it's just a lot of going back from one color to the next, and then it's like, oh, you get one right, and then you kind of go back, you'll mess with the other one. But the idea is you want these to kind of be a little bit apart. You know, you don't need them in the exact same version of green. You can kind of see here, mine are not. If they were the same version of green, you'd have them directly over top of each other, dark to light. But you can add some variation by having it a little bit off the color of that color grading of green. And I'll show you. So this is what you kind of see in here. You know, there's those little specks out there. Not too much specks close by. The other thing that was a change. Before this, I would have my grass blades. I want to say I had them at like 0.8 or something like that. Which it looks cool. It covers up the floor, that's what I was going for, was cover up the floor. But when your ball is sitting in there, like at ball cam in GSPro, you could tell the grass did not look natural. It almost looked cartoony. But when I started switching that down to the 0.4 that Justin had, in here, you know, you can see the ground. You can see the ground through there. But in game, it's not, the ground is not that bright. So in game, it looks superb. And always your specular color. I think you always have to have that black. There is another deal up here, this ground floor. For whatever reason, it could be my stick shader, something. No matter what I change this to, does not actually change my color. Even if I put a grass texture in here or just something in there, I don't think it matters. No. So it could be my stick shader's broken, but I never use that. I always usually put it to black or white. I can't remember which one it was. So I don't really use that at all. I'm sure one of the experts can tell me why the heck that doesn't work. But I do know in Justin's Primland course, I asked him about it. The bottoms of his blades were like this grayish color, and I thought it added an amazing amount of like basically the depth that I'm talking about. I can't get it to do it in mine, but you know what I ended up creating here and putting in on my Spencer course, it turned out extremely well. I'll show that to you here in a little bit. So height, yeah, I mean 0.7 to 0.85. Everyone changes the height of their grass. The only problem is when you make the blade that thin, you probably need to go a little higher to create, so you're not just seeing all grass floor. But yeah, so I moved that up to height, the 0.7 to 0.85 for rough, and then I do have what I call mid rough. It's not really mid rough. It's pretty deep rough, but it's not totally deep. That spot's over here. Let me go. Where's that hole at? And over here. Yeah, right here. So you can kind of see this. This is the mid rough. I did thicken the blade up. Yeah, I put one more. Instead of 0.4, I put it to 0.5. And yeah, this looks really cool. It's just an area that's kind of a little grass bunker type thing. And then I have super deep rough over on a hill over here off 18. Right here. And this is, in real life, you know, you're standing right here in real life. This color of it's definitely, it's dark. So back here, you know, it's just a normal rough, but the closer you get, you kind of see the darkness. But that thinner blade, initially I had it super thick blade. And now this is just 0.6, and I think John was saying have the blade width relative to the height. Because I'm putting this, you know, 0.15 to 0.3, I widened the width on it a little bit, and I think it looks really, really cool. So let's see what this looks like in game. So here's what we're looking at on the Spencer course here. We'll just fire one down here. I'll put one up over here on the right side of the green. Let me get it. You can see how natural that looks. And it stretches out. This is going out at 50 for the grass end, but you know, to me, looks pretty darn good. Over here, get one just off the green here. Yeah, I like the thinner blades are definitely where it's at. Looks a lot more natural, and then the shadows look really nice too. that's legit. And I don't think the rough is really too long, so that setting that I have there is pretty good. And I can go up here and we'll play this hole out. I'll show you. Well, actually, maybe we'll F5 there. You don't have to see me try to chip. Here's that longer grass that I was talking about here in game. It's pretty good. You come out here. Let me go down here a little bit. You can kind of see. So if you remember in Designer, in Unity Designer, you had all those black dots out here, so you don't see those in game. I'm not exactly sure what Unity does different, but maybe there's some aliasing going on out here versus in game, or in game versus in Unity. But yeah, you don't see those black, those black dots, those black speckles that you saw in Unity. But like I said, you want those black speckles because you get those and you don't have them close, you have your 3D perfectly blended. So I'll end there. If you guys have any questions or if you want me to help out 3DG, I've logged into a few other PCs and did it. It is harder to do through like AnyDesk or anything like that, just because the coloring that transfers it doesn't do quite as good as what it does if I can just have it on my system. But yeah, if you want to send your builds to me, I enjoy doing this 3DG, so just send them to me and I can do my thing and get it back to you. But if you have any questions, let me know.